Mandolin Land. I'm back with another bluegrass mandolin lick. This one is going to be in the style of the godfather of bluegrass mandolin, Bill Monroe. So if you want to play bluegrass mandolin, you're going to be influenced one way or the other by Bill Monroe. Either by Bill Monroe himself or by other players that you're listening to that have been influenced by him. So he's one of the fundamental, founders of bluegrass mandolin, the father of bluegrass, right? So his licks and ideas are really important to study because they'll give you kind of a template and a foundation to play bluegrass mandolin. So we're going to be back this week breaking down one of his chord position licks that I really like, and we're going to use all downstrokes for this lesson. So this is kind of an intermediate, maybe gearing toward advanced lesson. So if you're a beginner, I would recommend checking out some of the beginner lessons that I've done. Maybe check out the basic bluegrass chop chords lesson first. I'm going to kind of assume that you know some of the basics, you know the chords, and you can move around with your pick. So again, this is going to be kind of more of an intermediate lesson, but I'm going to break the lick down and show you a bunch of variations and then show you how to move it all over the neck into different keys so you can use these type of ideas in whatever key you're playing in. All right, here's the lick. All right, let's start breaking down this Monroe-style downstroke lick. So let me first start by playing it, and then we'll start breaking it down. Here we go. 1. Okay, let's do that a few times. 1. One more time, real slow. 1. Okay, so we're going to be working out of this bluegrass chop chord. And this is a movable lick, and I'll show you how to move it to different keys in a little bit later on in the lesson. And this is kind of an intermediate lesson, like I said in the intro, so make sure that you're familiar with like the basic bluegrass chop chords. I'm not going to break all that down in this lesson. I'm going to assume you know the basic bluegrass chop chord, and you're familiar kind of moving around on the strings a little bit. For the most part, we're going to be using all downstrokes. So even if we cross the strings, even if we play eighth notes, we're going to break that kind of traditional pick rule of using downstrokes on the downbeats, upstrokes on the upbeats, and we're just going to use all downstrokes. Playing it with all downstrokes gives it a more staccato feel. It also kind of adds a little bit of a bluesier element, I think, to the solo. So we're going to start up here in this position, and again, you'd a lot of times be playing rhythm right before you would do a lick like this, or you'd be going back into rhythm right after doing the lick. So that's why these licks are, I think of them as playing out of a chord shape, okay? So we're going to be using this G chop chord, and we're going to start on beat 2, and this is our pickup into the lick. So we're going to do 5th fret on the D string, and then 5th fret again, and then 2nd fret on the A string. And then we're going to use our second finger and play 3 and 4 on the A string. And then we're going to get up to the 5th fret. So we're kind of walking up to this 5th fret on the A string chromatically. So let's do that a few times. So it's 1, 1. And again, I'm using all downstrokes. The other thing you can practice, and this will take a little experimentation and you can see what you like, but you can experiment with different tones. I might not play a lick like this quite up here. If I was playing something softer, sweeter, I might play more up here. I might do this lick further back toward the bridge. If you want to go really Monroe style, you can play way back here. Like that. So again, experiment. Your right hand is your voice on the mandolin, right? So if you play up here, it's going to be sweeter sounding. If you play back here, it's harsher sounding, and you can use that to your advantage to get different tones too. So experiment a little bit with that of moving your right hand around. That's totally normal, and you should be doing that if you want to get the range of tone possibilities on your mandolin. Okay, so let's walk that up one more time. And then right here we're going to play 5th fret on the A string, so this is beat 1 of measure 2. And then we're going to go up into this double stop, 5 and 3, very common bluegrass double stop. And you could play them together, but for this example we're going to play them separately. So you have, and we're going to do a bunch of downstrokes after that. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. And then right here, you can take your third finger off if you need to. We're going to slide from 6 to 7 on the E string. And then right back to that third fret. So we have... And a couple ways you can do that. You can do it with just the slide with a single picked note. You could do it with 2 picked notes like I did in the intro. And you can practice keeping your second finger down if you can. For me, I have to lift my finger just a little bit, especially in G. If you do it up here, you can get, it's less of a reach. But for me, I have to lift my finger up a little bit. That's okay. But basically, you don't want to shift up too far. That's why I'm using my pinky. So we have. You can also do like one more little advanced way you could do it would be like a triplet. In that instance, I would be breaking the all downstroke rule and I would be doing a quick down, up, down. So I'm doing 6, 7, 7 with a triplet. So that's a couple variations on that slide. Again, you can do it with just the slide with 1 pick note, 2 pick notes, or the triplet. Those are all kind of just Monroe little ornaments. He was a very rhythmic player, which was what made his playing, one of the aspects that made his playing so cool. So he would always be throwing these different rhythms in. Another one you could do in measure 2 that he did a lot is it's a 1 and 3 and kind of rhythm. It's very syncopated, like that. So again, experiment with these rhythms. Just get the positions down. And then if you do all picking or just downstrokes like quarter notes, you know, you'll have a lot of variations. And a lot of these Monroe licks and variations are very subtle. So it's doing a slide or a triplet. Like the general outlook of the lick kind of stays the same. You're always working out of this chord position. So think small variations on this and think rhythmic variations. So I might go like that. So experiment with that, okay? So let's get into measure 3. So after we slide up, we're gonna land on that 3rd fret E string and play that as a quarter note for beat 1. And then play 2 more downstrokes, 8th notes. And then we're going to go back down to the A string, 5, 3. And then right here, I'm going to do a 1, 2 slide. Again, you could do it with just the slide, or you could do it with picking, or you could do the triplet. So again, take those variations and really work on those. That's going to expand your playing. It's going to help you take a lick and really reinforce that you know it. So let's play measure 3. We have... And then we're going down to this 5th fret on the D string to end it. So we have, that's a lick you want to practice. So we have, again, you could play back here too. Or, and then measure 4, we're going to hit this 5th fret twice. And then this is tricky. This took me a while to get down, so I'll preface this that this takes some practice. So we're basically going to do a backwards pinky slide, 7, 6, 5. And basically if you think of you're in your G chop chord, it's right where your pinky would be. So you basically kind of backslide your pinky down. And I'm doing down, up, down. I'm doing that triplet picking, or you could do it with just a slide too. And then we're going to do a 3-4 slide on the G string with your 2nd finger, and then up to this 5th fret. So I think it helps to hear the whole lick. So you have, I'll do it real slow. Or again, you could do the picking on the slide too. So that's tricky. It's almost easier to do it faster, I think, and it takes some pinky strength for sure. So we have, do is focus more on the rhythm of it, triple it, you know, 4 and 1, right? Don't worry too much if you get the slide perfectly. Have your target note to be hitting this 5th fret on the D string on beat 1. If you get to that, it's kind of like sliding into home plate. You're safe at that point. So that's what you're working on there. Again, you'll get this triplet to sound smoother over time. And like I said, I'd preface, this took me a while to get down. So take it slow. But once you start learning this lick, you'll hear it all the time. It's a great way to end a solo. Okay, so that's the basic part of the lick. Let's play the whole lick. That's what we're doing. So a couple variations. One, if you want to do it a little bluesier, you can also use this 1st fret on the high E string. So you could do something like... So let's practice that. So you would come into it the same way. And then it ends the same way as well. So you have... That's that rhythm we were doing. 1 and 3 and 4 and. He would do that a lot, like on these double stops or on a single note, like a. You might have heard something like that, like a Bill Monroe-style solo. Again, very rhythmic player. That's why he was such a great mandolin player. Okay, so that's something you can practice, is adding that 1st fret. And I would just practice getting down in different ways. Or, you know, just practice. You can make the lick longer or shorter. You can get down quicker. So just experiment. Again, the essence of the lick is this slide up, and then the getting back down, and then this lick. Okay? And so it's a chord position lick. So we can move it up to A. Try the same lick up in A. Or B flat. Again, we're not using any open strings. You don't even have to know what chord it is. You could just move around until you find one that sounds good. And that's why these licks work great too. Like if you're in A flat or something, like a key you're not familiar with. You know, you're like, oh, I don't know any A flat lick. Again, you can take your chord shaped lick and move it up. Or B, he would use that a ton in B. So there's lots of other licks and ideas that work out of these positions on faster songs as well that I'll break down in future lessons. But start practicing moving these around. And that's why it's so important to use the same fingers, because that's going to help you build the muscle memory to just move it around. Like, you know, move it up to C. And just play with the timing. You can do it with the slide, that backslide, like I said, you can do it with triplet picking or just a slide on its own. So that's something you can practice. The other thing you can do, you won't be able to do the whole lick, but you can do part of it, is if we move the lick up. So we won't be able to do that pinky backslide because we don't have a lower string, unless we were playing like a mandola or something. But we can do the first part of the lick. So we can still do it. Now it would be in C. So we can still go. So that's something you can practice too. You might have heard, if you're familiar with the song Rawhide, that's how he kicks it off. You know, that it's working out of these chord shapes. So that's a very common position. You could do it in D. So practice that. And again, I'm using downstrokes and being really aggressive and kind of, you got to play with authority. You got to really sell this style. You got to commit to it, right? Lastly, I think I would say about the downstrokes is it'll take some time to not get too tense. You really want to avoid gripping the pick super tight. That's going to really tense your arm up. Practice snapping back up right away, but I'm still trying to maintain that relaxed flow. So that's what I want you to practice, okay? So one more time. All right, hopefully that gives you a new lick to practice and bring to your jam session. All right, good luck.